Erica shivered in the cold, clutching the small bundle of warmth to her chest. The wind cut through her thin jacket, biting her fingers, but she didn't care. The baby's tiny fists curled around her hands, his soft whimpers breaking the silence of the night. Behind her, she could hear the shouts, the furious stomps of boots on the gravel. "Stop. She's got the baby. Don't let her escape." Erica didn't look back. Every instinct screamed to run, to protect the child from the danger she had narrowly saved him from. She ducked behind a frost-covered bush, the bitter night air making her lungs ache, but she wrapped her body tighter around him. "It's okay. I won't let them hurt you," she whispered, rocking him gently. Her own heart raced, her past memories clawing at her mind. She had lost a child once. She had felt that unbearable emptiness, the helplessness. She swore she would never let it happen again. Not to him. Earlier that night, the danger had crept quietly through the mansion, unnoticed by most. Erica had been sweeping the nursery floor when she noticed a shadow by the crib. At first, she thought it was just a trick of the dim lamp, but then she saw the hand holding a pillow, poised above the baby's face. Fear froze her for a moment. Her instinct screamed, "Do something." She lunged forward, grabbed the child, and ran before the woman, the head housekeeper, Vanessa, could react. Vanessa's scream had echoed through the halls, sending guards after her, but Erica was already moving faster than she thought she could. She remembered the path clearly, every turn and hallway, every door that had blocked her escape. By the time she reached the massive front doors, the guards were hot on her trail, shouting her name, calling her a thief. Erica didn't stop. She burst into the cold night, the baby safe against her chest, feeling the sting of snow and frost on her bare skin. She had to hide, to make them think she was gone, at least long enough to keep the child alive. Now, huddled behind the bush, she could hear the chaos in the mansion behind her doors slamming, alarms ringing, voices shouting. Erica's body shook, not just from the cold, but from adrenaline and fear. "You're safe," she whispered again, brushing a strand of her hair away from the baby's face. He was small, fragile, and yet so alive, trusting her completely. Erica pressed her cheek to his soft hair, feeling a bond that was instant and unbreakable. "I won't let anyone hurt you. Ever." The night had begun like any other for Erica, though nothing about her life was ever ordinary. She had been homeless for years, sleeping behind restaurant dumpsters or in abandoned alleyways, surviving on scraps, avoiding trouble. But tonight, she was no longer just surviving. She was fighting, protecting something she loved with a fierceness she hadn't known she had. She had been hired temporarily as a maid at Edward Kane's mansion, a gesture of pity from the butler who had noticed her kindness. It wasn't glamorous work, but it had given her food, shelter, and, unexpectedly, a purpose. The baby had become her responsibility in ways no one could have anticipated. Inside the mansion, Edward Kane returned earlier than expected. Business meetings had been canceled due to a last-minute crisis overseas, and he had flown home, exhausted and tense, only to be met with chaos. His son was missing. His voice, deep and commanding, echoed through the halls. "Where is my son?" The staff froze. Vanessa's face paled as she tried to spin her lies. "Sir, the maid, she just took him." Edward's gaze swept the room, sharp and unforgiving. "Find him. Now." Panic rippled through the staff as security cameras were pulled up, and the footage revealed every horrifying moment. Vanessa approaching the crib, her intent unmistakable, and Erica rushing in to save the baby. Escaping into the freezing night with his son held safely against her chest. Erica didn't know Edward Kane had returned, didn't know the truth was about to come crashing down on the household. She just moved, her mind singularly focused on keeping the baby alive. Each step was careful yet frantic, avoiding the patches of ice that could betray her presence. She found a small shed at the edge of the property, one she had noticed earlier during her chores. Crawling inside, she curled around the baby, her body a shield against the cold. The wind whistled through the cracks, making her teeth chatter, but the baby was warm, safe in her arms. She whispered lullabies softly, not even remembering if she had sung them before, just the instinct of a mother protecting her child. Her thoughts drifted for a moment, sharp and painful. She had once held a child in her arms and had failed to save him. The memory was a knife in her chest. She had been a teenager then, desperate and poor, powerless against a world that took everything from her. The loss had haunted her every day since, leaving a hollow ache in her chest that no amount of food, work, or sleep could fill. But tonight was different. Tonight, she had a chance to do right, to be strong. She pressed the baby closer and whispered fiercely, "I won't let that happen again. Not to you." The hours stretched on, each minute feeling like an eternity. Erica shivered but stayed awake, rocking the baby, humming soft tunes she had learned from the streets, songs of survival and hope. She could hear the muffled shouts of the mansion staff, searching, confused, panicked. Her instincts told her they believed she had kidnapped the child, and maybe they would never understand. Maybe Edward Kane himself would not understand. But it didn't matter. The baby was alive, and Erica's determination would not falter. Suddenly, she heard footsteps crunching in the snow, cautious but purposeful. Her heart leapt. Could it be Edward Kane? Or worse, more guards? She held the baby tighter and whispered, "Shh, stay quiet. Erica, please." The figure approached the shed and paused. A deep, commanding voice finally spoke. "It's Edward Kane. I know you saved him. I saw everything." Erica's eyes widened. The man's voice was calm but carried an intensity that made her heart race. Relief washed over her, but the fear hadn't fully left. She didn't dare move, didn't dare breathe too loudly. Her chest was tight, her hands numb, but she dared to look up. Edward Kane stepped into the shed, kneeling down gently beside her. His eyes were sharp, scanning her for signs of injury or weakness. "You saved him," he said softly, almost as if he couldn't believe it. "You risked everything for him. Do you know how dangerous it was?" Erica's lips trembled as she shook her head. I couldn't let her hurt him," she stammered, tears mixing with the cold sweat on her face. Edward Kane reached out, brushing a strand of hair from the baby's face. "You did more than save him," he said. "You saved me from losing him." The baby cooed softly, and Erica pressed her cheek to his, finally allowing herself a small sigh of relief. The fear of the night began to ebb, replaced by a warmth that she hadn't felt in years. Edward Kane's gaze softened, and his voice carried both authority and gratitude. "Come inside. You've earned shelter, warmth, and respect. You will never be out here again." Erica blinked, overwhelmed, unable to find words. She had not expected gratitude, not from a man like him, not after years of being invisible. But tonight, everything had changed. She had saved a life, and in doing so, she had changed her own forever. Edward Kane gently lifted the baby from Erica's arms, holding him close as if measuring every ounce of his safety. Erica's hands lingered a moment, reluctant to release him, but Edward's steady presence reassured her. "He's okay," he murmured, almost to himself, before looking back at her. "Tell me exactly what happened. Don't leave anything out." Erica swallowed hard, the cold still biting her fingers, and began recounting the night's terror, her voice trembling. She spoke of Vanessa, of the shadows in the nursery, of the pillow, the panic, and the desperate flight into the snow. Every word she spoke painted the danger so vividly that Edward's jaw tightened, anger sparking in his gaze. So she tried to kill him? Edward asked quietly, almost in disbelief. Erica nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks. I couldn't. I just grabbed him and ran, she whispered. Edward Kane's eyes burned, the fury barely contained. And the guards? The rest of the staff? They didn't see what she was doing. Erica shook her head. They believed her lies. They chased me like I was the criminal. She pressed the baby closer to her chest again, as if to reinforce the truth of her words. I couldn't let anyone hurt him. Not tonight. Not ever. Edward Kane's gaze softened slightly, and he knelt beside her again, lowering his voice. You were brave, Erica. Braver than anyone in that house. Do you understand that? Erica nodded again, swallowing hard. The adrenaline was finally fading, leaving behind the exhaustion that threatened to overwhelm her. I couldn't let him die, she said, the words barely audible. Edward Kane placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. You saved my son's life, and you've done more than anyone else in that mansion has dared to do. The night stretched around them, the cold wind still howling outside the shed, but Erica finally allowed herself a small sigh of relief. Edward Kane stood slowly, glancing toward the path that led back to the mansion. We need to go inside now. You need warmth, and Aiden needs to be safe in his crib. Erica hesitated, fear and mistrust still lingering. Are you really going to protect me? After all of this? Edward's expression was solemn but firm. I promise. You will not be out here again. Not tonight. Not ever. Together, they made their way back toward the mansion. Erica's steps were unsteady from the cold and exhaustion, but Edward Kane kept a steadying hand on her back. As they approached the massive doors, the chaos inside was palpable. Staff shouted, some panicked, some confused. Vanessa's face went pale when she saw Edward Kane, her lies no longer holding weight. He ignored her, his focus solely on Erica and the baby. He held the child protectively, scanning the room, anger simmering just beneath his controlled exterior. Explain, Edward Kane said sharply, his voice echoing in the grand hall. Vanessa stammered, attempting her lies. She took him. I tried to. Edward Kane cut her off, his tone cold and final. Enough. The cameras don't lie. He gestured to the security screen showing every moment. Vanessa approaching the crib, the pillow poised over the baby, Erica diving in to save him, running into the night. The Erica footage made everything painfully clear. The room went silent. Even the guards shifted uncomfortably, their loyalty exposed as misplaced. Edward Kane's gaze returned too, softer now but still firm. You saved my son. I saw everything. Erica's lips trembled. I just wanted him safe. That's all. Edward Kane knelt again beside her, holding her gaze. You've risked everything, Erica. And because of you, he's alive. You will never face the cold alone again. Do you understand me? Erica nodded, tears falling freely now. The weight of the night's terror, the fear, and the adrenaline began to lift slightly, replaced by an unfamiliar warmth. She had been invisible for so long, and now, for the first time, someone had seen her courage. Vanessa was immediately escorted away, still sputtering lies that no one now believed. The guards, embarrassed and chastised, could only stand in silence as Edward Kane took control of the situation. He turned back to Erica, placing the baby gently in her arms again. You need to rest. You've been through a nightmare. Let me take care of this now. Erica looked down at the sleeping child, overwhelmed by exhaustion and relief. She had survived, and the baby had survived because of her actions. Nothing else mattered in that moment. Later, in the warmth of a guest room Edward Kane had prepared for her, Erica finally allowed herself to collapse onto the bed. The baby slept peacefully beside her, small fingers curled around her hand. The fear that had gripped her for so long began to ebb, replaced by a cautious hope. Edward Kane knocked softly at the door before entering. "You're safe now." "I mean it," he said, his voice calm but authoritative. "No one will ever hurt you or Aiden again." Erica nodded, her voice barely a whisper. "Thank you for believing me." Edward Kane's eyes softened, and for the first time that night, Erica felt truly seen. The next morning brought clarity and consequence. Edward Kane addressed the staff firmly, his presence commanding respect. Vanessa's position was terminated immediately, and her actions reported to the authorities. Guards who had chased Erica without question were reprimanded, some reassigned. Edward Kane ensured that Erica's bravery was recognized, not as a maid who had saved a baby, but as someone who had risked her life when no one else had the courage to act. Erica listened quietly from the corner of the room, still holding the baby close, her heart swelling with a mixture of pride and disbelief. As the days passed, Erica began to settle into her new role in the household, no longer just a temporary maid, but a guardian and protector of Aiden. Edward Kane made it clear that she would have permanent accommodation, a steady salary, and the respect she had long been denied. Erica, who had spent years invisible and ignored, found herself at the center of attention for all the right reasons. Her bond with Aiden grew stronger each day, and she realized that, despite the danger and fear of that night, she had finally found a place where she mattered, where she was valued, and where her courage had made all the difference. Erica stayed quiet as Edward Kane walked through the mansion, his gaze sharp, his presence commanding. Staff shuffled nervously, some avoiding eye contact, others whispering behind their hands. Vanessa's absence had left a heavy void, and the tension in the air was palpable. Erica clutched Aiden close, feeling the baby stir in her arms. She whispered softly, "It's okay, little one. You're safe now." His tiny fingers wrapped around hers, and she felt a warmth that contrasted sharply with the bitter night they had survived. Edward Kane turned to the staff, his voice steady but full of authority. "I want full honesty from everyone in this house," he said. "Anything unusual, anything dangerous, I need to know. No more lies. No more cover-ups." The guards shifted uncomfortably. One, a tall man with a rough expression, spoke up hesitantly, "Sir, we didn't see everything. We were following orders." Edward's gaze bore into him. "Orders don't excuse negligence. You failed tonight. Lives are not negotiable." The room went silent again. Erica listened, her heart still pounding, feeling a mix of vindication and lingering fear. She had known the danger. Now Edward Kane had confirmed it. Later, Erica was taken to a private room prepared for her by Edward Kane himself. The bed was soft, warm, and inviting, a stark contrast to the cold nights she had endured on the streets. She placed Aiden gently on the bed, watching him sleep. His tiny chest rose and fell, each breath a reminder of her responsibility and the peril she had narrowly escaped. Edward Kane entered quietly, closing the door behind him. "I want you to understand something," he said, his voice calm but unwavering. "You risked your life tonight. That means more than any job, any position, any title. You will be treated with respect here. Permanently." Erica swallowed hard, emotions swirling in her chest. I don't know what to say," she whispered. "I'm not used to being seen." Edward Kane's eyes softened. "You've earned more than recognition, Erica. You've earned trust. You've earned protection. And you will have it. From now on, this house, this family, will be yours as much as it is mine." The words settled over her like a warm blanket. She had spent years invisible, surviving day by day, fighting to be noticed, and now someone powerful, someone who mattered, was acknowledging her courage. It was almost Erica overwhelming. Over the next few days, adjusted to her new role, she moved carefully around the mansion, carrying Aiden, learning routines, and gradually becoming part of the household rhythm. Each moment with the baby strengthened their bond. She sang him lullabies she had remembered from her childhood, hummed soft tunes, and rocked him gently to sleep. Edward Kane often watched from a distance, his expression unreadable at first, then gradually softening as he observed the undeniable bond between Erica and his son. He began to trust her instincts, asking for her opinion on small matters concerning Aiden's care, which both startled and honored her. For the first time in a long time, Erica felt capable, valued, and strong. One afternoon, Erica found herself alone with Aiden in the nursery. She gazed at him, his innocent eyes staring back, and whispered, "You're safe now. I promise. No one will hurt you, not while I'm here." Her thoughts drifted back to her own lost child, the grief she had carried silently for years. She pressed her cheek to Aiden's, tears slipping down silently. The memory of her baby, lost to poverty and neglect, hit her anew. But the contrast this tiny life she could protect, nurture, and love filled her with a bittersweet resolve. She would not fail again. She would not allow history to repeat itself. Edward Kane entered the nursery quietly, watching Erica with the baby. "He's calmer with you than anyone else," he observed. Erica looked up, startled, and met his gaze. I think he senses safety," she said softly. Edward nodded. "And that's why you're here. Not as a maid, not as an employee, but as someone who understands him, who can protect him and keep him safe when others cannot." Erica's heart swelled. She had spent her life undervalued and overlooked, yet here was a man acknowledging her worth in a way that transcended titles and money. She realized she had not only saved a life, but had earned a place in a family that respected courage above all else. The days continued, and as confidence grew, Edward Kane began to speak more openly with her, sharing concerns about the household, about staff, and about Aiden's well-being. Erica is listened to, offering insights from her perspective, which he valued more than she had anticipated. One evening, as she rocked Aiden to sleep, Edward Kane stood by the doorway. "Erica," he said softly, "you've done more than I can ever repay. But I want you to know, you're part of this family now." Erica's lips quivered, and she swallowed back tears. I don't know what to say," she murmured. Edward smiled faintly. "Then just stay. Care for him. That's enough." She nodded, overwhelmed by the simplicity and profundity of his words. Tension remained, however, as the household adjusted to the aftermath. Some staff members were resentful, struggling to accept Mara's newfound status and Edward Kane's trust in her. Whispers circulated, and eyes followed her movements. Erica felt it, of course, but she refused to let it shake her. She had faced far worse than jealousy and suspicion. She had faced death in the night. Nothing in the mansion, no whispered insult or envious glance, could compare to what she had survived. She focused on Aiden, on his needs, on the small victories of everyday care that slowly knit her into the family she was now a part of. One morning, Edward Kane called Erica to his study. "I want to ensure you have everything you need," he said. He handed her a set of keys. "These are to the house, not as a maid, but as someone who is trusted here. You will have your own room, privacy, and whatever resources you require to care for Aiden." Erica's hands trembled slightly as she took the keys, the weight of their significance settling on her shoulders. "Thank you," she whispered. I won't let you down. Edward Kane's gaze softened. I know you won't. You've proven far more than that already. That evening, as Erica prepared Aiden for bed, she reflected on the whirlwind of events, the attempted harm, the escape, the night in the cold, and Edward Kane's unwavering recognition of her courage. Her life had been unrecognizable just days ago. She had been invisible, overlooked, surviving only out of necessity. Now she was part of a family, trusted with a life that depended on her vigilance and care. The gravity of that responsibility was heavy, but Erica felt ready. She had faced the darkest night, and she had emerged not only unbroken, but empowered. Days passed, but the tension in the mansion did not completely fade. Some staff members whispered behind Erica's back, their eyes following her as she moved with Aiden in her arms. Erica ignored them, focusing on the baby, rocking him gently or humming soft tunes she had picked up on the streets. But she couldn't deny the unease that lingered like a shadow. Even though Edward Kane had publicly recognized her bravery, old habits die hard, and resentment still simmered beneath polite facades. One morning, Erica was in the nursery when Ms. Julia, the timid nanny, approached hesitantly. Erica, can I speak to you? She asked softly, her hands twisting nervously. Erica looked up, cradling Aiden, and nodded. Of course. Julia lowered her voice. I just wanted to say I'm sorry for not helping you. I was afraid of Vanessa. I didn't know what to do. Erica's heart softened, though a flicker of anger remained. It's okay, she said quietly. You were scared. I understand. But now you need to help keep Aiden safe. No more hesitation. Julia nodded, relief flooding her face. Yes, I will. I promise. Erica smiled faintly, realizing that even in a house full of adults, courage was rare and sometimes fear could be as dangerous as malice. Edward Kane appeared at the nursery doorway then, his expression unreadable. Erica, he said, his voice calm but firm. We need to discuss the household. Vanessa's actions were unforgivable. I want to ensure this never happens again. Erica set Aiden down gently in his crib, brushing a strand of hair from his face. I agree, she said. I'll help however I can. Edward Kane nodded. Good. You've already proven your instincts are stronger than most here. I want your input on staff routines, on safety protocols, everything. I trust you to tell me the truth, even if it's uncomfortable. Erica nodded, feeling a surge of pride. She had spent her life invisible, surviving by hiding in shadows. Now, a man with the power to protect her was entrusting her with responsibility. It was terrifying, yes, but also empowering. That evening, Erica stayed late in the nursery, rocking Aiden to sleep. Edward Kane entered quietly, closing the door behind him. You're amazing with him, he said softly, leaning against the doorway. Erica glanced up, startled. He calms me too, she admitted. Edward Kane approached, kneeling beside her. I've seen a lot of people in my life, Erica. Leaders, doctors, caretakers. None have the patience or instinct you have. You notice things others ignore. You act when others hesitate. You saved him, and I will never forget it. Erica felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes. She had spent years doubting her worth, doubting her ability to matter at all. But here, in this moment, she finally felt seen. The following day brought more tension. A few staff members, still loyal to Vanessa's memory, tried to undermine Erica's authority subtly. Erica noticed small acts, misplaced items in Aiden's room, hushed whispers, lingering glances. At first, she felt the familiar pang of fear, the urge to retreat into herself. But then she thought of the night outside, the freezing cold, the desperation to keep the baby safe. She had survived that. She had fought through terror. No whisper or subtle sabotage would break her now. She confronted the culprits calmly but firmly. "I know what's happening," she said quietly. "If you want Aiden safe, you will cooperate. Otherwise, you can leave." The room fell silent. The unspoken threat carried weight because she had already proven her courage beyond doubt. Later, Edward Kane called Erica into the study. "I want to make something clear," he said, his gaze steady. "You are part of this family now. Permanently. That means you have a voice here. No one can undermine your authority with him or in the household." Erica's lips trembled slightly. "Thank you. I don't know what to say." Edward Kane gave a faint smile. "Then say nothing. Just continue being yourself. You've already proven that's more than enough." Erica nodded, swallowing the lump in her throat. For the first time in her life, she felt secure in her place, respected not for her past or her poverty, but for her courage and care. That night, as she lay in the warm bed Edward Kane had prepared for her, Erica thought back on everything she had endured: the streets, the loss of her child, the cold nights, the constant fear. And now she was here, holding a life she had sworn to protect. She pressed her cheek to Aiden's soft hair, whispering softly, "You're safe now. I'll never let anything happen to you." Sleep finally came slowly, the fear of the night giving way to a fragile peace. The next morning brought unexpected news. Edward Kane gathered the staff in the main hall. "We have lessons to learn from what happened," he said, his tone firm. "Vanessa's actions will not be forgotten, and the trust of this household must be rebuilt. Erica has proven loyalty, courage, and wisdom. I expect all of you to respect her decisions from now on." Murmurs of agreement spread through the room, though some voices remained skeptical. Erica stood quietly at the side, holding Aiden. She felt the weight of eyes on her but refused to be intimidated. She had faced far worse and emerged stronger. Later that day, Erica walked through the mansion with Aiden in her arms, feeling the warmth of sunlight on her face. She reflected on the changes and how quickly life could shift from despair to hope. Edward Kane's recognition, the baby's trust, even the small acknowledgments from previously timid staff, these were victories she never imagined possible. And yet, she knew vigilance was necessary. Danger had appeared suddenly, without warning, and she would not underestimate it again. That evening, Edward Kane joined her in the nursery. "Erica," he said softly, "I want you to know that what you did will never be forgotten. You have my full trust. Aiden's life, his safety, depends on you as much as it does on me. And you've proven you are more than capable." Erica's lips trembled, tears threatening again. I'll do my best," she whispered. "Always." Edward Kane's gaze softened, and he placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "That's all I ask. Just continue being who you are. He needs you, and so do I." The night had grown quiet, but Erica couldn't shake the lingering tension that still clung to the mansion. Even after Edward Kane's public recognition, she felt the weight of responsibility pressing on her shoulders. Aiden slept soundly in the nursery, small breaths rising and falling against her chest, but Erica's mind raced. Memories of that freezing night outside, the panic, the danger, the near loss, it all surged back with terrifying clarity. She pressed her cheek to his soft hair and whispered, "I will protect you. Always. No one will ever hurt you while I'm here." A sudden noise outside the nursery door made her stiffen. She froze, heart hammering, listening intently. The faint click of footsteps echoed in the hallway. Her body tensed, instincts kicking in. Erica had survived worse than fear. She had faced death itself, but the thought of Aiden being in danger again sent a chill down her spine. "Who's there?" she called softly, her voice steady despite the pounding of her heart. The footsteps stopped. Silence. Then, slowly, the door creaked open. Edward Kane appeared, his expression unreadable in the dim light. Erica let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. "It's me," he said softly. "I thought I should check on you. You've been awake a long time." Erica shook her head. "I can't sleep. Not when he's in danger, not after what happened." Edward Kane stepped closer, placing a hand gently on her shoulder. "You've done more than anyone could ask. He's safe now, Erica. You've earned rest, not fear." She looked up at him, searching his face. "But what if it happens again? What if someone else tries?" His gaze softened. "Then we will face it together. You are not alone anymore." The following days were a delicate balance of calm and unease. Erica settled into her new role, her confidence growing as she cared for Aiden. Yet, the mansion itself still held undercurrents of fear and suspicion. Some staff members who had been loyal to Vanessa watched her with lingering resentment, their eyes following her every move. Erica noticed, but she refused to let it deter her. She had survived a night in the freezing cold with a baby in her arms, outrunning danger that could have killed them both. Whispered glances and silent disapproval were minor obstacles in comparison. One afternoon, Erica was alone in the nursery when Edward Kane entered, carrying a stack of documents. He set them down carefully and looked at her with an intensity that made her pulse quicken. "Erica," he said, "I want to discuss the future. Your role here, your responsibilities, and the protection of Aiden." Erica nodded, unsure how to respond. "You've proven your instincts are unparalleled. You notice things others miss. You act decisively when others hesitate. That kind of courage is invaluable." She swallowed hard, feeling both pride and fear. I just do what I have to," she whispered. "What I feel is right." Edward Kane's eyes softened, "And that is exactly why you are irreplaceable. Aiden's life, his safety, depends on you as much as it depends on me." Later that evening, Erica walked through the mansion with Aiden, reflecting on everything that had happened. The cold night outside, the chaos of the guards, Vanessa's betrayal, and Edward Kane's recognition, all of it replayed in her mind. She pressed her lips to Aiden's forehead, whispering, "We survived." Together. The bond between them had grown unbreakable, forged in fear, trust, and determination. Erica had spent years invisible, powerless, and alone. Now she was needed, respected, and valued. But danger was never far behind. That night, Erica was awakened by a faint rustling near the nursery window. She froze, straining to listen. The shadows shifted, and a figure appeared, trying to slide the window open. Erica's heart raced, but she reacted without hesitation. She grabbed a heavy candlestick from the dresser and stepped toward the intruder, holding Aiden close to her chest. "Stop. Don't you dare touch him," she shouted, voice fierce and unwavering. The figure froze, then bolted, startled by her sudden courage. Erica's hands shook, but she held her ground, her eyes scanning the darkness to ensure the threat had truly gone. Her resolve was stronger than ever. No one would harm this child, not while she lived. Edward Kane arrived moments later, alerted by the mansion's security system. He entered the nursery, his gaze sweeping the room. "Is he okay?" he asked, voice sharp but controlled. Erica nodded, her chest heaving with relief and residual fear. "He's fine. I scared him off." Edward Kane knelt beside her, placing a hand gently on her shoulder. "You did the right thing. You protected my son again. That's all that matters." Erica's voice trembled. "I can't lose him, not again." Edward Kane's eyes softened. "You won't. Not while I'm here, and not while you are here. You're his guardian now, and I trust you completely." The following morning, Edward Kane addressed the staff once more. His tone was unwavering, commanding respect and attention. "Let this be a lesson. Loyalty, courage, and vigilance are not optional. Erica has proven all three. Any attempt to undermine her authority or jeopardize Aiden's safety will not be tolerated. Whispers filled the room, but Edward Kane's presence silenced dissent. Erica stood quietly, holding Aiden, her heart swelling with pride. She had survived fear, danger, and betrayal. Now she had authority, respect, and a place where she truly belonged. As days turned into weeks, Erica's bond with Aiden deepened. She sang him lullabies, played with him, and watched him grow, each milestone a testament to her care and dedication. Edward Kane often observed from a distance, silently acknowledging her unwavering commitment. Erica, who had once been invisible and powerless, now held a position of trust and influence unlike anything she had ever imagined. She had faced death, fear, and betrayal and emerged not only unbroken but empowered. Finally, one quiet evening, Erica sat with Aiden in her arms, gazing out the mansion's large windows at sunset. Edward Kane, sitting beside her. "You've changed everything," he said softly. Erica looked up, meeting his gaze. "No, you've changed me," she whispered. "You've trusted me, allowed me to protect him, to care for him. I never thought I'd matter so much to anyone." Edward Kane smiled faintly. "You do, and you always will. You saved him, and in doing so, you saved all of us." Erica's eyes filled with tears, and she pressed her cheek to Aiden's hair. The fear and cold of that night seemed a distant memory now. She had found purpose, trust, and family. The following morning, the mansion was quiet but tense. Erica carried Aiden through the grand hall, every step measured, alert to any sign of danger. She had grown stronger in the past weeks, more confident, yet the memory of that freezing night outside still lingered like a shadow in her mind. Edward Kane walked beside her, his presence steady, reassuring. "You've done more than anyone could ask, Erica," he said softly. "And I want you to know nothing will ever threaten him as long as you are here." Mara looked up at him, a mixture of gratitude and determination in her eyes. "I'll keep him safe. Always. No matter what." The staff gathered in the main hall, some hesitant, others still carrying whispers of doubt, but all now aware of Mara's courage and authority. Edward Kane addressed them firmly. "Vanessa's betrayal exposed weaknesses in this household, and they must never happen again. Mara has proven her loyalty, her bravery, and her wisdom. She is entrusted with Aiden's safety. Any actions to undermine her will not be tolerated." Whispers ceased as his gaze swept the room, authoritative and unwavering. Erica stood silently, holding Aiden, her heart swelling with pride and validation. She had survived the streets, the cold, and the fear. Now she had earned respect, authority, and a place where she belonged. As the days went on, Erica settled fully into her role, caring for Aiden with unwavering attention and tenderness. Edward Kane frequently checked in, observing quietly at first, then discussing routines and decisions with her openly. Their conversations grew collaborative, each respecting the other's perspective. Erica realized she had found more than a job. She had found a purpose, a family, and a life she had only dreamed of. She sang lullabies, played gently, and watched Aiden's tiny smiles and first steps. Every moment reaffirmed her commitment and the bond she had forged through courage and love. One evening, as Erica rocked Aiden to sleep, Edward Kane entered quietly. "He's peaceful now because of you," he said softly. Erica looked up, blinking back tears. I've never been needed like this before," she admitted. "It's overwhelming." Edward Kane knelt beside her, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You've earned this place, Mara. You've proven strength, love, and bravery that few possess. You belong here with him, with us." Erica pressed the baby closer, her heart swelling. For the first time in years, she felt truly safe, valued, and seen. Later, Erica reflected on everything: the fear, the cold, the escape, the night she had held Aiden close and vowed to protect him. She had lost a child once, a grief that had haunted her, leaving a hollow ache. But this tiny life she now protected gave her hope and purpose. She pressed her cheek to Aiden's, whispering, "You are safe now. And I promise, I will never let anything happen to you." Her voice trembled, tears sliding down silently. Edward Kane watched quietly from the doorway, a rare softness in his gaze. He had witnessed courage, love, and devotion that went beyond fear or status. And he knew Erica had earned a place in their lives forever. The mansion gradually returned to a calm routine. Staff who had doubted Erica now acknowledged her authority, though silently in some cases. She no longer feared whispers or judgment. Her bravery had silenced doubts and commanded respect. Edward Kane and Erica developed a quiet understanding, communicating through shared glances and subtle gestures, each aware of the other's role in safeguarding Aiden. Erica realized that courage wasn't about absence of fear, it was about facing it head-on, for those who could not protect themselves. One crisp morning, Erica walked through the garden with Aiden, the sun casting a golden glow on the lawns. Edward Kane joined her, standing close but silent, letting her enjoy the moment. She smiled down at the baby, who gurgled and reached up for her face. She laughed softly, a sound filled with relief and joy. Edward Kane watched them, a faint smile on his lips. "You've changed everything," he said. That evening, as the mansion settled for the night, Erica tucked Aiden into his crib and stood silently by the window, reflecting on the journey. The streets, the cold, the fear, they all seemed distant now. She had survived, fought, and protected life with a courage she didn't know she possessed. Edward Kane approached, placing a hand gently on her shoulder. "Rest now," he said softly. "You've done enough for today. And remember, you're not alone. You have a place here with us." Erica nodded, her eyes filled with gratitude. She finally understood what it meant to matter, to be needed, to be valued. Erica's courage saved a life, and in doing so, she discovered a place where she truly belonged. A story of fear, hope, and unwavering love. If Erica's bravery inspired you and touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment below. Share your thoughts and stay tuned for more incredible stories like this one.